Hello friends, how are you? Welcome to the Japan Study Center. Today we are going to see the chapter of geography and what is our topic today? Factors affecting of climate. There is important here. Factor affecting a climate. Different regions of the world have a different temperature. Different regions of the world have a different temperature, humidity and precipitation. There is a general things here. You know that this difference influences the lifestyle of the people living under different climatic condition. The important here, the lifestyle of the people living under different climatic condition, and to understand a different climatic condition, let us discuss the factor which case the variation in there is a climate of place or regions here. The first point is important here. Latitude or distance for the equator. Latitudes are distant from the equator. The place near the equator are warmer than to the place which are far away from it. This is because the ray of the sun fall vertical on equator and sliding in the temperate and the polar region. As we have discussed earlier, their vertically rays are concentrated over a small area than to the slanting one. Again, the vertical rays pass through a shorter distance in the atmosphere before reaching the earth as a surface. Therefore, lower altitudes, higher is the temperature and vice versa. The Malaysia, which is near the equator, is warmer than England, which is far away from the equator. There is an important point here. The Malaysia, which is near the equator, is warmer. The England, which is far away from the equator, there is a different here. The second point is also important here. Latitude are the higher from the mean sea level. Altitude are the higher from to means sea level here. We all know that is a mountain are cooler than to plants. Shimla is situated on a higher altitude is cooler than Jalandhar. Though there is both are almost on the same altitude. The temperature decreases with the height of a place. For a vertical rise of the 165 meters, there is on average decrease in a temperature at the rate of 1 Celsius. Thus, the temperature decrease with the increasing in height. The important here, altitude are the higher from to the means of sea level here. The next point here is the continentals are the distance from a sea. There is important here. Continental are the distance from the sea. The water is a bad conductor of heat. The water is a bad conductor of heat. It will take longer time to heat and the longer time to cool. Due to this is a moderating effect of the sea, place near the coastal has low range of temperature and the high humidity. The place in the interior of the continent do not experience a moderating effect of the sea, and the place have extremely temperature. The place far from to sea have a high range of the diurnal daily and the annual temperatures. Mumbai has a relative lower temperature and higher rainfall than the Nagpur, though the both almost situated on the same altitude. That is important here. The next point here, fourth, nature of prevailing wind. The nature of prevailing winds, it is important here. The one shore wind varying to the moisture from the sea and case the rainfall on their area through which they are pass. The offshore wind is coming from to the land are dry and help in the evaporation. In India, the one shore summer monsoon wind bearing the rain, while offshore winter monsoon wind are generally dry. And next point is a cloud cover. This cloud cover is the most important here. In India, generally of the cloudless sky as the desert, temperature even under shade are very high because of hot daytime sunshine. In the night, this heat is radiated back from to the ground very rapidly. It results in the large total range in the temperature. On the other hand, under cloud sky and the heavy rainfall at the Thiruvananthapuram, the range of temperature is very small. The next here, 6 point, ocean currents. The ocean water move from one place to other, partly as a attempt to be equalize temperature and density of water. Ocean current are the larger movement of water, usually from a place for a warm temperature to one of the cooler temperature, or vice versa. There are warm oceans current arise their temperature of the coastal and sometimes the varying rainfall will the called currents. Lower their temperature and the create a fog near the coasts. For the wavings there is a nearby is a free form ice even in the winter due to the warm north Antarctica draft will be poured the Quebec and the Canadas, the remaining of frozen during the winter month. Due to the chilling effect of the cold Labrador's current is the spirit of the fact that the port Quebec is situated in a much lower altitude than the Portal Barres. The world shows the wind pass over to the worms currently carry to the warm air to be the interiors and the rise the temperature of their island area. Similarly, the winds blowing over to the cold current carry a cold air to be interior and create a fog and mist. The next here, direction of mountain chain. There is a most important point here. Direction of mountain chain. The mountain chain act naturally varied for the wind. The one so has a moisture, land and wind are forced to rise after the streakings against the mountain and give a heavy rainfall on the windward side. And these winds descending on the leeward side causing a very low rainfall. The Great Himalayas check their moisture laden monsoon wind from the crossing over to the Tibet. And this mountain chain also is a check the beatings polar cold wind from the entire into the India. And this is the reason for which is the northern plan of India get a rains will the Tibet remain is a perpetuous rain shadow area with the lesser amount of rainfall. The next point here, slope and the asap. There is important here. The concentration of the heat began more on the gently slope, arise their temperature of the air above them. It is a lesser concentration along to the stepper, slope lower the temperature. At the same time, mountain slope facing the sun are the warmer than the slope which are away from the sun as a rays. The southern slope of Himalaya are warmer than the northern is a slope. That is an important point here. The next point here, the nature of the soil and the vegetation cover. The nature of the soil and vegetation cover, the important point here. The nature of soil depends upon it is a texture, structure and composition. And these qualities vary from a soil to the soil. Stormy and sandy soil are good to conductor of the heat, while a black clay soil absorb the heat of the sun as ray quickly. The where is the surface radiated their heat easily. The desert are hot in the day and the cold in the night. The forest area has a lower range of temperature throughout the year. In the contrast is a non-forested area. That is an important point here. The one aspect here, the factors which affect the climate of place or region are altitude or the distance from equator, altitude are the higher from to means sea level. Contaminately at a distance from a sea is the nature of their prevailing winds, ocean current, direction of mountain chain, and the slope, and it is respect to the nature of soil and the vegetation cover.